right, here we go. Cool, cool, cool. Test, test, test. Audio test. 1, 2, 3. Is everything working? Not sure it is. There we go. There we go. It was my Streamlabs. All right. So welcome. It is, what do we got? Wednesday, January 28th on NASDAQ. It's my first stream I'm recording for this year. I've traded a couple days, but didn't record it. So today is FOMC this afternoon. So that means there's a little different way we play today. So now I know a lot of people will say, a lot of ICT traders will say you don't trade FOMC. My experience has been, and I've documented this, if the morning session's clean, the afternoon session's trash. If the morning session's trash, the afternoon session's clean. So I kind of pay attention to the charts in the morning and see what it looks like. And then I know a little bit more about the day, because if the morning's trash, then I'll know I want to trade the PM session around the FOMC event. So we'll see what we see today. Price action's been pretty clean for January, so I'm pretty excited about that. And overall, I have a bullish bias here. Let's see, which screen are you looking at? So I'm anticipating price. So this is the NQ on the 15-minute London session, Asia session. I want to see it at the open come back down into this midnight opening price, the blue line here. And we have some targets below us. I really would like to see it somewhere in this zone. There's a 1 hour fair value gap, 4 hour fair value gap. So somewhere in here. And here is the open. So let's switch back over to the 1 minute chart and see what we get. Now, I don't like this price action we're seeing right in here. It's just kind of this downward consolidation is whatever, but see the wicks on the candles, they're kind of extensive. So I'm not liking that. But it could clean up here as the session opens up. That's just lower volume, indecision. All right, I'm going to turn off this SMT indicator, clean things up a little bit. You can see here on the 1 hour, we're in this fair value gap. There's a series of tailless candles. These are high probability targets. And then we do have this series of gaps down below as well. So we'll see what it wants to do. Opening range gap is pretty huge. Here is the opening price. It tends to want to fill a portion of that, at least 50%. We have a new day opening gap down here. So we shall see. I don't know how far down it wants to come. Looks like YM and ES are moving bullishly already. They've swept some lows. NQ hasn't. So that could indicate that NQ might not want to go all the way down as far as I want to see it. So far, ES is moving, YM is taking off, and NQ is the lagging asset. So leading, middle, lagging. All right, so just eyeballing 50% of this current range. Oh, looks like got some movement over here. So here's a 3-minute inversion breaker. I don't like it a ton. It did take the London low, but here it kind of came close to the midnight, but didn't touch it. Um, I've noticed often it likes to come back for that midnight open if it's that close. All right, we do have SMT at the lows. So there's that. You see how deep it kind of dug back into that? So it looks like YM took London high. So here was a like a 5-minute sweep right there. So there's a manipulation on both sides for the the open. Not too pretty. So here we do have a bearish breaker. Gee, on the 32nd, we don't even have any inversions. So all of these red lines are equal lows. Bearish SMT. ES is retesting the 12 a.m. open. YM's flipped it. There we go. We got some displacement to the downside. Started to look like it. And just reminding myself I have zero expectations for this day, for this session. You know, I'm showing up as with adopted the identity of the profitable trader and reminding myself what that is. And that means I have no expectations. I could be wrong in my bias. I could not get a trade. I could get a trade and not get an entry. I can get a trade, get stopped out. I can get a trade, break even. I can get a trade and I can win it. I don't know what's going to happen today. You know, I may add to my account. I may take away from my account balance. I don't know. I can't know. And when we have expectations, that's when we get into trouble. When we see price do what we think it's going to do, but then not give us an entry, that's maybe when we're likely to bend our rules and scramble and FOMO to get in a setup. So I've noticed a big difference in my trading with this idea of expectations and letting them go and addressing them ahead of time. Um, just really is a game changer. No gap. Just waiting, waiting, waiting. What time is it? 9:37. All right, so we have these equal lows here. We have Asia low. We have 1 hour tailless candles stacked right there. We have a 4 hour low as well. We have taken a 4 hour low. There's one more 4 hour low right here at 190. So right about the Asia low is that 4-hour low. Um, so looks like it's getting some movement. Maybe we got a 30-second. Not really. So here's a tiny inversion there. Here's kind of an implied fair value gap where the wicks overlap. Right there, this center line, and you technically take 50% of each wick, so it's going to be more like that. But super tiny on the 30-second. ES does have this trend line liquidity resting right below. Over here to the 5-minute chart. See what's going on over here. So everything's out of sync at the moment. Less so on the 15-minute as I look at this. We got this downtrend here. Um, the difference being NQ did a stop hunt to sell side, YM did a stop hunt to buy side. So which is it? Is it going down? Is it going up? I think it's going down because YM is overall in a bigger downtrend. So I think it's going to want to favor sell side on YM. But we do have a 15-minute bullish candle closure right there. 3 minutes left on this candle, so we'll see where this one closes here on NQ. Could also just consolidate. Do like an just play around in this opening range gap or this opening range. Opening range. Here's our first presented fair value gap. There's that 3-minute gap that failed. Nothing for me to do right now. We're outside of the macro 943. That said, I've seen a lot of good trades come at 945 too. So that's a time I'll take a trade as well. All right, cool. So while I'm waiting for that, maybe just go over some of my reminders. Reminder. So I got to remind myself that trading is of this world, and I am of spirit, and there's a difference, right? Things of this world, they're not real. They're just a game. They don't matter really. And so one of the things I had AI do is create me a little image of a day trader playing a video game. Helps remind me that to not take this too seriously, that it's just a game. Nothing, nothing's gonna like. My life is not going to change based off today, one way or the other. If I lose a trade, if I win a trade, if I lose two trades, not going to change. So 2023, I learned the basics. I got my footing with ICT and NQ. 2024, I was in the trenches, learning everything and becoming an actual trader. I've done the work. I've got the receipts. 2026 will be my breakthrough year. All right, so we've kind of come out of this opening range here. This is not that clean. So who knows? We'll see. Maybe it'll clean up a little bit, but from what I'm seeing, I'm imagining that this PM session probably will be a little cleaner. Probably. This isn't the worst. It can get much worse than this on FOMC mornings. Well, ultimately, look at my 15-minute chart. Price did what I wanted it to do. Came down into midnight open, into the Asia range, and it reversed. So that's cool. And had there been a long down in here, I probably would have had a 3 hour winner already. But that didn't happen. And that's part of what I was saying at the beginning about the expectations. It's like price did what I wanted it to do. You know, had there been an inversion down here, I would have gotten in. But it didn't mean that I had an entry, or it didn't mean that I took it. Because sometimes we have our model, we just for whatever reason freeze. Oh, something we got some movement over here. So we tapped into that 15-minute gap. Here's bearish SMT. Hmm. I don't think I don't think I can get behind a short. I'm gonna scope it out, get an idea of what it would be. So about 6 contracts for that. Um, so now if I want, I can just mark it in. So it flipped the first presented fair value gap. That means one of two things. It means it could be bearish, further bearish down to some more of those targets that I was pointing out down in here. Or it could mean it's wanting to do a seek and destroy kind of opening range kind of thing. And I'm not very convinced it wants to move. So that's why I'm not acting. If it was going to distribute towards sell side, see this candle right here in this rejection, that likely should have pushed it back down further. But the fact that we saw a bullish candle after, and now we're seeing this push back up into here, and it's not that it can't, like it can want to rebalance. So we have this range from this high to this low. It can want to come back into 50% or right into here and still go down. But that just tells me it's not wanting to just dump, which is what I want to be a part of. I don't want to sit through a deep retracement. And like in my case, if I was to take an inversion, see, I would have been stopped out. I would have put it probably my stop above this. I typically do pretty short stops. I don't do what most people do, and like look how big this stop would be, way up at this candle body or swing high. I don't typically do that. I'd rather just get stopped out and have shorter stops. That also means I have much shorter targets too. So yeah, I get stopped out a couple extra times than the person who puts their stop loss at the swing, but I also win more than they do too. So like if I had entered right here, put my stop right there, you know, here's my 3R, right? Pretty close by. Whereas if I wanted to even cover this fair value gap, now it's twice the distance to get 3R. And the further you have to go, the more likely you are wrong, let alone this right there. So you can see how much bigger this 2.78. Now I'm going all the way down here to this previous day high. So that's where for me, I'd rather just keep it tight somewhere in here and go for half the trade. 3 minute and 5 minute, just consolidating. 1 minute's kind of bouncing around in this range. Now we're flipping this first presented fair value gap multiple times. Isn't a good sign. It's not what you want to see. And the other thing about FOMC mornings is I'm not going to give it a full session. I'm not going to sit here and wait until 11:30 or 12. If nothing clean presents in the first hour, probably isn't a session to be part of. Time wise, we're in the 950 macro. See what anybody else is doing. Benjamin, ICT, not really doing anything. DJT, nothing there. So, no one else is in a trade. All right. Well, I don't think there's a point sitting through this unless something's like sweeps way back down into here. I don't have a trade, and I'm probably not interested in shorting. So my guess is that price is just gonna dilly dally around until the PM session, and that's when we're gonna really see the move. So yeah, I can accept no trades for the AM session. I mean, obviously, I'll still be paying attention to the charts even if I'm not streaming. But there's just no point in me sitting here as it's ranging. Boring for people watching and boring for me. So, but decided to record the first stream of the year.